Hi guys, Sam Matt here for DreamHack Summer 2014 for the Dream League Season 1 offline finals. I'm joined here by MiSeRy from Mousesports, and obviously you've just lost your match up here against Cloud9. It looked like an extremely close series. Do you want to just kind of walk us through it?
Yeah, it was really close. A lot of mind games actually. The first game, I think we had the upper hand from the beginning. We got the draft we wanted, exactly. And we knew for sure that they wouldn't expect us to pick Panda at bottom in the first two. So that gave us an edge right there. The second game, we got Batrider, and then we were afraid of Vengeful Spirit and Disruptor in second phase, so that was a mistake. We already knew they played Twin Head Dragon and Wraith King. We knew they wanted those heroes, but we, for some reason, didn't ban them. So that was a big mistake. On top of that, we had our heroes, and we didn't go offensive tri lane, which we should have, since they blocked our pull camp. And you know, there's a lot. It's really complicated, but we should have basically just gone offensive tri lane that game. Still think we played somewhat solid. It was just the small, very small things that made the game break. Game 3, yeah, the silencer pick completely fucked us. And then we were so limited after our first two picks tied Enigma. It's also a bit of a mistake. Then they get the silencer, and then yeah, from there it's really hard to pick because that hero kind of counters the whole idea that we have. And then we ended up with a lineup that didn't really have much synergy.
Is Cloud9 a team you've been scrimming against at all? Or?
We played a few games, like 3-4 games. In those games, they all played Twin Head Dragon and Wraith King. So we even talked about it beforehand, but for some reason we refrained from banning those heroes.
Is that sometimes you just have to struggle with a team? Is just not realizing at that very point? And is that sometimes where maybe like a team coach or someone in the background could help out?
Yeah, potentially. I mean, just someone to remind you. I mean, usually the player, someone says it, yeah. But someone having 1+1 as a remind you would obviously be useful. But it's really hard in these situations how to pick, because right now in Dota you can basically pick any hero in the game, and you need to think about so many heroes like these silencers and Wraith King too, to some extent. They're these type of heroes. If you forget about them or something like this, you can get completely, like, you can't do anything anymore.
Yeah. I suppose that's one of the great aspects of Dota. If we pedal back shortly, looking at the TI4 qualifiers and Mousesports picking you guys up, I understand that you guys were probably receiving a lot of offers before the international. Do you want to just give us kind of an idea of how many people were approaching then?
Oh, it was a lot of, basically all organizations that didn't have a team contacted us. Na'Vi contacted us in the beginning. I don't know if I should say this, but we didn't want to be Na'Vi's second team, so we declined that offer. In the end, we had like 3 different offers that we were very, very similar, and it was almost impossible to choose from there. But since Fada and Pass had their past in Mouse, that basically was the reason why we did it. And it was convenient because it's in Germany and because Fada already lives in Berlin, and that's where we wanted to boot camp. So it was just, you know, we had to make some decisions, so it became Mouse.
Okay. Now, interestingly, you mentioned an offer from Na'Vi there. Would that, can you give us any insight into that? Would you just been called like Na'Vi? Like, what would you be called? Would you been called Na'Vi?
I think initially his idea was this Na'Vi US all along, but I don't think it mattered too much. At that time, I think we had 2 Americans in the team when he approached us, but we weren't certain with the roster. We didn't want to sign anything at that time, but I don't think it mattered. We would have probably maybe been Na'Vi EU or whatever, you know.
Yeah, it would have been a pretty strange situation. Do you think it's weird when team owners start picking up more than one team in a game like Dota 2?
I mean, in the case of Na'Vi, I think it's a bit strange just because Na'Vi has the history that they have. You will always be in shadow of that, and you can easily become, it can easily become bad for your team. But I thought it would be smarter if they made like an EG Alliance kind of move where they make a new organization and then get a second team like that. But yeah.
You mentioned Mousesports in Berlin. That's one of the big factors that made you go with Mousesports. How quickly were they able to accommodate you and let you boot camp?
Oh, that was really quickly. Since we boot camped in the joint Dota offices, so they already had the space for us. They had the computers and everything, so it was quick. It was within a few a week or something like this.
And do you feel is that what you guys needed to get an edge over the other teams in the qualifiers?
Yeah, well, the main reason for getting a sponsor was actually to get a boot camp going. The salary and stuff was kind of irrelevant because of the short amount of time until the tournaments. So we had to make a move in before the TI qualifier and DreamHack and whatnot. So yeah, that was basically the main reason. It was the boot camp.
And were you able to scrim a lot of teams from Europe at the boot camp?
Yeah, we played a lot against pretty much everyone. Alliance, Fnatic, everyone.
So looking forward at the international, obviously this is the first time we've ever seen anything on this scale. Are you pretty surprised we were able to reach the likes of $10 million?
Of course, I think everyone's pretty surprised on how well that actually worked. The whole compendium shenanigans. So that's amazing. I mean, it's kind of unbelievable actually.
Yeah. I mean, how much pressure does that put on you as a team? Just that kind of money?
I don't think it puts any more pressure. It depends on people, I suppose, but yeah. I still think people play the game because they love it and they're good at it and stuff. So it's more like the passion that drives you rather than the money. It might put the pressure on you if you go really far and it's make or break. But I mean, even playing here at DreamHack, I think it's not like you're ignoring DreamHack or playing less good or whatever at DreamHack just because TI has bigger prize pool. Yeah. I think all tournaments are important.
So your first day was kind of you probably had the longest day out of any of the teams. Is that pretty draining for a team? Like, are you guys pretty used? I mean, you've been around Dota for so long now. Are you guys pretty used to playing that much?
Well, of course, I think everyone is used to playing a lot of Dota. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here. But yeah, it was a long day. I had a crazy headache in the end, and it was definitely a long day. But I think it's going to be even longer tomorrow. Yeah. As far as I've heard, we might be able to play 13 games potentially in a row.
Do you think that's a mistake here with the format? I mean, having a best of 5 losers and then a best of 5 grand final. I mean, if both of those games go all the way, that's at least 10 hours minimum. Is that just way too much for a team?
It's too much. I think they should make the loser bracket best of 3. That's the only reason to solve it now, I think. Otherwise, it's kind of stupid to play that many games in a row. You can't do that. In this noise and heat and everything, it's not good.
And how much time do you think a team needs as a break between 2 series?
Not too much, I think. I think it can be okay with like 20-minute break or something like this.
So looking slightly more further back, you guys picked up Fatter and Pass around the start of April, I think it was. And how have those two integrated into your team?
Well, I was really surprised how well we played yesterday. I think everyone was. I think everyone kind of realized we reached a new level of how good we actually can play. In the beginning, we had some struggles with personalities and different play styles and ideas about the game and stuff, but eventually we figured it out, and it's going really good now. I mean, even when we lose, we just take it really good. So
from a spectator's point of view, you guys look really disciplined. When you're playing and your play style, you're very considerate of all the decisions you make. And do you feel that's what's giving you the edge over here at this tournament?
I think we had our run the last 2 months has been something like we always win the early game, and then we keep running at them, and then we just lose because teams figure it out. They just sit behind their carry, and then we run into a wall and die. So this is. And we did this many games now. So we had a long talk about this, and it's really nice that we can actually, like you said, to discipline up, and then stop doing it when it's risky to do it.
At this point last year, you were playing for LGD International over in China. How was your experience in China, basically?
Well, I think, like I've mentioned before too, we lived there too long, and we didn't have enough breaks. We didn't have enough people around us that we could talk to. It was, Chinese is super hard. You can't understand anything. Everything is foreign. The food, everything. So living there for 4 or 5 months straight without any any vacation or anything like that. There was just too much, and that kind of broke the team completely. I think everyone in the team was depressed in the end. No one really wanted to. It was almost a relief when we lost at TI, when we were out. It's like, holy shit, this is actually nice now. It's fucking over, you know. And so it was just too much. I think it's too hard to live in China permanently for foreigners.
So would you still play a tournament over there, or would you probably never go back now?
No, I still think China has. I wouldn't mind going back there, but I'm not gonna live there anymore. It's at least like, oh, I'm never gonna live there anymore probably. But I think maybe in the future it can be better for other teams if they manage to integrate the foreigners better. But yeah, I don't mind playing there at all. I still like China in some ways. So it's still a cool country.
So looking at all the internationals, would you say this is the most comfy you've been in a team, the most confident you've been in a team?
Well, yeah, in the recent Dota 2 times, of course, when I played at MYM, that was really good too, because we were all Danes, apart from Demon. But yeah, the chemistry right now and the whole attitude towards the game and losses in general, it's all really good. So it's really comfortable.
Looking at some of the teams here, obviously we're going to see Team Empire, their first showing here, going up against Alliance, who've been playing pretty strong all throughout the first day. Were you surprised at how strong Alliance have been at this tournament so far?
Nah, I'm not. I mean, it's still Alliance, you know. They can still always pull out something out of their head. They're always going to be a strong team. You can never underestimate them. So I wouldn't say I was very surprised. I think they also had some really good strategies against what the enemy had in the games I've seen, at least. So yeah, no, I wasn't very surprised though.
Have you guys scrimmed Team Empire at all?
A little bit, but it's a while ago, a week or two ago. So we don't actually know how they're gonna be.
Okay. And who do you think is gonna win the matchup then between Alliance and Team Empire?
I think Alliance will win, probably. They have the experience on the stage now. Empire this is their first game, and it can maybe be a bit hard to start off before you haven't played any game there. But then again, I have no idea how good Empire are right now, so it can go both ways.
And what's the plan for Mousesports for the rest of the month, leading up to the international?
Well, we're gonna finish this, and then we're gonna maybe have a few days break, and then back to some practicing online maybe, and then we have the ESL at the end of the month, and then we're gonna boot camp for 2-3 days, 3-4 days or whatever after ESL. Go back for a few days, and then it's TI. So,
looking at ESL, are you guys worried that you kind of forced to show maybe some strategies you want to keep for the international there?
I don't think that's possible, because everyone's practicing so much that, like, maybe you're hinting on troll or something like this, and I think if we don't play it now, I think teams are gonna figure out how strong it is anyway, because everyone's trying so hard. I mean, there's so much money, it's so much prestige, it's what you do. So obviously, I think that the heroes that has been shown already in some ways are gonna get abused when it comes to TI.
And looking at TI itself, what kind of impact do you think the Chinese teams are going to have? Do you think you're going to have a harder time facing up against the Chinese teams or the Western teams?
I don't know. It's also really hard to say. You know, I think it just depends on how good you are on the day as well. In terms of Chinese versus Western, I don't know. It's also about the whole metagame situation. Maybe it could be that Chinese has some really strong way of playing right when TI hits, and then they're really hard to play against for Europeans because they have a different mindset. It's always like that. So that's also impossible to say.
Okay. All right, thanks for your time, MiSeRy. Before I let you shoot, obviously there's a lot of fans out there you'd like to thank, and your new sponsors.
Yeah, of course. Thanks to Mousesports and the fans and DreamHack and everyone around here. It's really nice to be here. So.
Okay. Best luck for tomorrow, and obviously best luck for ESL. Thanks, guys. Of course, coverage throughout the weekend will continue. Cheers.